The C-class was a class of 32 destroyers of the Royal Navy that were launched from 1943 to 1945. The class was built in 4 flotillas of 8 vessels. The California, CH-CO, and CR groups are subclasses, or ordered as the 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th Emergency Flotillas respectively. The subclass names are derived from the initial 2 letters of the member ships' names. Although the California class were originally ordered with a heterogeneous mix of traditional destroyer names, a 5th flotilla, the CE, or 15th Emergency Flotilla, was planned but were cancelled in favor of the weapon-class destroyers after only the first 2 ships had been ordered. The pennant numbers were all altered from R superior to D superior at the close of World War II. This involved some renumbering to avoid duplications. Design. They were built as part of the War Emergency Program, based on the hull and machinery of the pre-war J-class, incorporating whatever advances in armament and naval radar were available at the time. Some of the class were completed in time for wartime service. All ships used the fuse-keeping clock high-angle fire control computer. The California flotilla were generally repeats of the preceding Z-class, and as such had a main gun armament of 4 QF 4.5 in MKIV guns on MKV mounts, which could elevate to 55 degrees to give an anti-aircraft capability. Close-in anti-aircraft armament generally consisted of 2 40mm Bofors guns in a twin-stabilized Hazer-Meyer mount, supplemented by 4 single 2-pounder pom-pom anti-aircraft guns on power-operated mounts. Caprice differed in having a quadruple 2-pounder pom-pom instead of the Hazer-Meyer Bofors mount, while Cassandra had a Lycon 20mm cannon instead of the single pom-poms. Torpedo armament consisted of 8 21-in torpedoes in 2 quadruple mounts, while 70 depth charges could be carried. The succeeding CH, CO, and CR flotillas were fitted with the new MKV-LA Director instead of the MKI Type K Director of the Z and California classes, while remote power control gun laying equipment was fitted. The additional weight of the new fire control equipment and the powered mountings for the 4.5-inch guns meant that only 1 quadruple torpedo mount was fitted, and the depth charge armament was reduced to 35 depth charges. Most of the ships were fitted with a single Hazer-Meyer Bofors mount, although some of the later ships instead had the lighter and simpler MKV twin Bofors mount. This was normally supplemented by 2 power-operated single pom-pom mounts and 2 20mm Lycon cannon. They also introduced the all-welded hull into Royal Navy destroyer construction, beginning in contest, with the CR flotilla all being of all-welded construction. Late delivery of the MKV Directors delayed completion such that all but one of the CHS, COS or CRS entered service after the end of the Second World War. Only Comet was commissioned before VJ Day, in June 1945, albeit too late to see action. Caprice was the last destroyer built for the Royal Navy to be fitted with the ubiquitous quadruple QF 2-pounder pom-pom mounting Mark 7. The California flotilla were reconstructed in the late 1950s and early 1960s to be modernized for anti-submarine warfare and to serve as fast fleet escorts. 1 bank of torpedo tubes and 1 4.5-in gun was removed, allowing 2 squid triple-barreled anti-submarine mortars to be fitted, while the ship's obsolete gun MKI Type K Director was replaced by a modern Mk6M Director as fitted to Royal Navy frigates, and the remaining 4.5-in guns fitted with RPC. Close-in anti-aircraft armament was standardized as a single MKV twin and 2 single 40mm Bofors mounts. The ships were were also fitted with new bridges. The post-refit bridge differed between the first 4 conversions, with open bridges, and the later 4 which were given frigate-type enclosed bridges. The remaining CH-CO and CR ships in the Royal Navy were given a less extensive modernization, with 1 4.5-in gun being replaced by twin squids, modified fire control, and a close-in anti-aircraft armament of 1 twin and 4 single Bofors guns. Chieftain, Chaplet and Comet were fitted as mine layers. Engineering the class were all fitted with 2 Admiralty 3-drum boilers with a pressure of 300 pounds per square inch at 630 degrees Fahrenheit. All had Parsons single reduction geared turbines, generating 40,000 shaft horsepower at 350 rpm, and driving the 2 shafts to produce a maximum of 36 knots under full load condition. All were engined by the builders except Cossack and Constance, which were engined by Parsons. The bunkers could hold 615 tons of oil fuel, giving them a radius of 4,675 nautical miles at 20 knots and 1,400 nautical miles at 32 knots. Ships *= flotilla leaders. California Flotilla. This flotilla was authorized under the 1941 program. The first pair was ordered from Yarrow on 16 February 1942, the other 6 were ordered on 24 March, a pair each from John Brown, Scots and Camel Laird. However, on 12 August 1942 the contract for the last pair was moved from Camel Laird to White. Their originally allocated names were altered to new names beginning with California in November 1942. The John Brown pair, Caesar and Cavendish, were fitted as leaders. On completion they formed the 6th destroyer flotilla for service in the home fleet. At the end of the war in Europe, the flotilla was transferred to the East Indies Fleet, and the ships arrived on station between August and November 1945. Too late to see service against Japan, they remained in the Indian Ocean until May 1946, when they returned home and paid off into operational reserve. CH Flotilla, 6 destroyers, the first of 26 intermediate destroyers to be authorized under the 1942 program, were ordered on 24 July 1942, a pair each from Thornycroft, Scots and Alexander Stephen. The 4th pair was originally intended to be ordered from Vickers Armstrongs, Walker-on-Tyne, but instead were ordered from Denny on 30 July. The Checkers and Childers were fitted as leaders. Co-flotilla. The first 4 of these destroyers were ordered in August 1942, Comus and Concord on 7th, Contest on 12th and Consort on 14th. The remaining 4 destroyers were ordered on 12 September. Constance and Cossack were fitted as leaders. CR Flotilla. All 8 destroyers were ordered on 12 September 1942, 2 each from John Brown, Jarrow, White and Scots. The John Brown pair, Crescent and Crusader, were fitted as leaders. CE Flotilla. 2 ships of this putative flotilla, the last of the 26 intermediate-type destroyers authorized under the 1942 program, were ordered on 3 February 1942 from White. These 2 ships were to be named Centaur and Kelp. However, with the decision to introduce a fresh design of intermediate destroyer, the White orders were amended to the new design, and the names of the 2 ships were altered to Tomahawk and Sword respectively. Tomahawk was subsequently renamed again, becoming Scorpion, while Sword was finally cancelled on 15 October 1945. Image gallery. Publications. Morris Cocker, Destroyers of the Royal Navy, 1893 to 1981. Ian Allen, London, 1981. ISBN 0-7110-1075-7. Mike Critchley, British Warships Since 1945, Part 3, Destroyers, Maritime Books, Liskeard, UK, 1982. ISBN 0-9506323-9-2. Norman Friedman, British Destroyers and AMP Frigates, The Second World War and After, Chatham Publishing, ISBN 1-86-1761-376. Robert Gardner and Roger Chesno, Conway's All the World's Fighting Ships 1922–1946, Conway Maritime Press, London, 1980. ISBN 0-85177-146-7. Robert Gardner and Stephen Chumbley, Conway's All the World's Fighting Ships 1947–1995, Naval Institute Press, Annapolis, Maryland, USA, 1995. ISBN 1-55750-132-7. David Hobbs, C-Class Destroyers, Maritime Books, Liskeard, UK, 2012. ISBN 19004459498. Peter Hodges and Norman Friedman, Destroyer Weapons of World War II, Naval Institute Press, Annapolis, Maryland, USA, 1979. ISBN 0-87021-9294. H.T. Lenton, British Empire Warships of the Second World War, Greenhill Books, ISBN 1-85367-2777-7. H.T. Lenton, Navies of the Second World War, British Fleet and AMP, Escort Destroyers Volume 2, MacDonald, London, 1970. ISBN 0-356-03122-5. George Moore, Building for Victory. The Warship Building Programs of the Royal Navy 1939–1945, World Ship Society, ISBN 0-9543310-1-X. M. J. Whitley, Destroyers of World War II, An International Encyclopedia, Cassell & Co., London, 2000. ISBN 1-85409-5218.